All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of your favorite movie podcast. That's right. It's the one and only Force Perspective. And this is episode 110. I'm your host, Sports Guy 515. And on this episode, we are exclusively covering Avengers Infinity War, 10 years of Marvel Studios, 10 years in the making, 18 films later, and this is what all roads have led up to. So it's going to be very exciting to talk about that and the implications for the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well. But I'm not alone on this episode. First, my normal Force Perspective co-host joining me, the one and only Adolfo. What's going on, man?
Not much. You're right. 10 years of movies, 19 movies in total, including this one, and currently about 7 different Warner Brothers executives in the DC division committing suicide.
Well, if they just followed the formula, they wouldn't have to do that. But they want to do their own shit and fuck it up, and that's on them now. But we're not alone either, Adolfo. So I would like to introduce our other co-host on this show. We're turning to Force Perspective. Please welcome everybody, Brandon Draven. What's going on, man?
And get this man a beer. All right, here we go.
All right, fellas. Welcome back, everybody, to Force Perspective. Last episode, we kind of caught up with everything leading up to Infinity War as far as just major releases. You know, we did A Quiet Place, which is probably one of my favorite movies of the year right now.
That was a great movie. I really love that movie.
Yeah, we caught up with Rampage and some of those other films that I just.
That wasn't a great movie.
That was not a good movie.
It wasn't even like dumb good. It was just I'm not gonna get into it, but it wasn't good.
It was okay. I thought it was fine. It was a popcorn movie.
By the way, I remembered what I wanted to say about it. Remember on the last episode?
Yes, you forgot something at the end.
What I wanted to say was I was so annoyed because this was filmed in Chicago, right? And I was so pissed off that out of all the buildings they destroyed, they couldn't destroy Trump Tower. It was right there. Come on.
Because you cut a promo that they cut the Sears Tower down, but and then that's where you kind of said, there's something I was gonna say and I can't remember what it is, but there you go. You're gonna cut a promo on Trump Tower, which makes sense.
Chicago gets it again, man. They always get it in these films for some reason.
Death Wish, and now this one this year, bro.
Fucking Transformers one year.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just glad it's not New York because it's always New York, bro.
That's right.
But anyway, speaking of New York, so they get invaded again. So let's talk about Avengers Infinity War, directed by the Russo brothers, Joe and Anthony.
As I call them, the not Vince Russos.
The not Vince Russos. That's right.
Thank God for that.
And starring, oh God. Let's go through it. Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Benedict Cumberbatch, Don Cheadle, Tom Holland, Chadwick Boseman, Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Denai Guerrilla, Letitia Wright, David Bautista, as we like to call him, Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, and Josh Brolin. So, Adolfo, take us a little bit through the plot. Tell us about Avengers Infinity War.
Well, Avengers Infinity War, and I think we should mention that we're going to start off with a non-spoiler review, and then we're going to switch into spoilers afterwards, and we're going to be very clear about when we go into spoilers. But for the first part, this is the kind of non-spoiler review. This has been building up over, like I said, we said before at the top of the show, 10 years, 19 movies of Avengers, Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, where at the end of the first Avengers movie, we saw the first appearance of the main heel in this film, Thanos. And this is him trying to collect all the 6 different Infinity Stones that we have kind of been seeing drop little hints of throughout the entire 19 films, starting with, I think the first time we saw one was in the first Captain America movie. And then, going forward through that. And then it's we get the different heroes on their journeys to try and stop Thanos, and they're all kind of split apart. They're still split apart from the events of Captain America Civil War, so Captain America and Iron Man are still not really together. And I don't know if I feel like if I go to who's teaming up with who, it might get into too much spoiler territory, but basically this is the end result of all the heroes having to come together to stop Thanos from collecting all these stones that in the mythology of the film, when you collect all 6 stones, you become basically a god.
Yeah. And like you said, it's pretty much been built up throughout the past 18 films how important these Infinity Stones are. And we saw the first. I actually revisited this recently. We did see the first appearance of Thanos at the post-credit scene of the first Avengers movie. We saw him again, I believe, during the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then we saw him one more time in the post-credits of Avengers: Age of Ultron. So he's kind of been this like mythical figure, kind of lingering over the entire franchise, leading up to this film. So we'll start with our guest first. So Draven, tell us about like your non-spoiler thoughts on the film. What do you think about it overall?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great fucking film, man. And it's funny because I really love this film, and we'll get to it during the spoiler portion. It didn't unseat my top 5 Marvel films though, which is interesting. I mean, I think it wasn't better than Civil War. I think Civil War was a near perfect film. It had a great villain. They just did so much with the time that they had. I think Civil War, and I've seen Civil War maybe about 5 times, and it just gets better and better every time I watch it. And it didn't unseat Iron Man and Guardians 1, but it was just still an amazing experience to see it in the theater, especially on opening night, and seeing it with the packed house, and you get that concert atmosphere when you go on Thursday. So I had a good time with it. Other than some nitpicky things that I'll talk about later on, it was a very, very good film.
Yes, and Adolfo, needless to say, I'm sure you read the original Infinity Gauntlet storyline when you were younger. So I know your hype for this was probably even bigger than mine and maybe Draven's. So like, what did you think of the film in that respect? Like, did it live up to your hype? Not just with the Marvel Studios, like 18 films leading up to this, but just as a fan who knows the story of the Infinity Gauntlet.
Well, it's funny because when I was growing up as a kid, comic books had what we called crossover events, which was basically, you have the X-Men, in this X-Men issue, you're going to see them cross over with the Avengers, and they're going to have a team up for several issues, or you're going to see the Fantastic Four teaming up with Spider-Man, or so on and so forth, right? And sometimes you would have these mega epic blockbuster, quote-unquote, crossover events, basically to drum up sales and get people to buy a bunch of books. And one of the original ones, or at least that... Yeah, I guess you would call it one of the original ones from Marvel. It was that probably the original one was called Secret Wars back in the 80s. But this one, the Infinity Gauntlet storyline came in, I think it was 1990 or 1989. I don't remember the exact date, but and it was this mega event that crossed the entire Marvel universe. All your favorite characters show up in one place to basically stop Thanos from getting all 6 stones and destroying the universe. Now, the plots do kind of differ a little bit here. Like in the comic book series, Thanos is really doing it because he wants to impress the living embodiment of death itself. Whereas in this film, he's doing it because he's got kind of some... And I don't know if we want to get this is a little spoilery, so I'm not going to say too much, but it's a little more kind of religious-y zealot reasons in this film. That's kind of all I'll say about it now. So the motivation is a lot different in the movie. So that said, like, it's not the same. So anybody who read the comic book, don't expect the exact same storyline. Just like if you read the original Civil War, don't expect the same Civil War comic. But as far as expectations go, if you would have told me at 10, 11 years old when I was reading the Infinity Gauntlet storyline that I would see a version of that, 20 years later when I was an adult and seeing pretty much everyone except, the X-Men and Fantastic Four who Marvel currently doesn't have access to, pretty much every superhero imaginable in this film, I would have said you were nuts. So that kind of fulfilled like a lifelong fantasy of mine, and it certainly made my like inner 12-year-old really happy. So it really did fulfill the expectations. It made me happy to watch. I do agree with Draven though. It doesn't make my top 5 either. It makes my top 10, but not my top 5 because there are a couple criticisms I have of the film. Not a lot, but enough to say that, like, it's not perfect. And you know what? I do give him a little bit of a mulligan because you just went through the entire cast list. There's so many characters to juggle in this film that you're gonna just because of the mere fact that you have so many characters to juggle, it's gonna be you might have to like shortchange one or two, you know. So other than that, though, it did live up to expectations. It lived up to the hype. I think Thanos lived up to the hype as the villain that we've been leading up to all these movies, and I'm pretty satisfied with the movie.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where I would rank it on my personal MCU list. I just know it's not my favorite. I'm with Draven on that one. Captain America: Civil War is still my favorite one of the entire franchise right now. But
that's like one of my favorite movies ever, bro. Civil War is amazing.
I love it.
And I knew going in that it was gonna be kind of like a hard show to top. But again, like, you know, everything Adolfo said was spot on. I mean, I was also going into it. I was because you know, I saw some of the reviews coming in, and they kind of said what I was kind of feeling, that some of the character development was gonna suffer a little bit just because of the time, you know, and knowing that, I always felt like, okay, I'm gonna go into this movie, and if I see the effort and knowing what the Russos had to go against, I'm gonna like this movie, because the odds were against them delivering a great movie, and they fulfilled it. I think this movie is great, and so yeah, they had a lot to live up to, and I think they pretty much hit it spot on.
Right. So there's three aspects I do want to touch on, non-spoilery right now before we get into spoilers. The first is the writing, kind of like you guys already alluded to. The writing here is brilliant. I love the writing here, especially with Thanos, because this is just another notch on the belt for the MCU. They know how to write villains, man. They are really good at kind of making the villains come out of the comic book pages and feel like real characters, like that aren't just two-dimensional, you know, stereotypical comic book heels. You know, Thanos, you know, this is someone that, you know, you get that, you know, he's on this, like, you know, sort of, what's it called? Kind of, I don't want to say evil journey, but he's kind of like, he's doing the typical, like, heel journey. He wants to collect all the stones because he wants to become a god. But then, not to go into too much spoilers yet, but, you know, you can tell that the end result is more tragic in nature for Thanos, and that one of the climactic scenes involving him, and I want to say what it is. Yeah, we're going to talk about it later. Just kind of encapsulates the entire character of Thanos and what he's feeling right now. Yeah, he should be, you know, feeling one thing, and he really can't because of the journey it took to get to that position. So when I saw that part, it was near the end of the film. When I first saw that, I was like, holy crap. It's like I can't even say it right now. It's like, it's just, it was kind of amazing to see like a villain not go the typical, you know, I'm a villain, this is what I want to do route. No, they kind of, they made it more of a three-dimensional character, gave him a journey to follow that had its ups and downs. That was an emotional roller coaster for him, not just for the heroes trying to stop him. You know, well, so
I think one thing we could say, piggybacking on your point, and the Russo said this before the film came out, so it's okay to talk about it. This is definitely Thanos' movie. We are following him, and the Avengers are kind of they're kind of scattered, but this is the story of Thanos, and I would even dare say he's the main character of this film, and that's another unique angle in that we're actually following the villain in this quest. And everybody's just kind of revolving around him. So that was pretty interesting too, and it allowed the Russos to kind of really develop him.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's definitely the main character. Like, absolutely, he's the one that gets the most character development, and which makes sense because he's the one that we knew the least about going into the movie.
Correct. Yes, right. I thought that was a good, like, little aesthetic choice, because had it been the other way around, it completely changes the narrative of the film. And when the Russos decided to go this route, it kind of created a whole new movie. And I thought that was pretty clever, because again, that way we get to know the character, and I have this feeling that, you know, Thanos is going to be around for a while.
Oh, I think so too. I do want to give props also to the special effects. The special effects are pretty much on par with previous entries into the MCU, and they get even more dazzling depending on how big the screen you're watching it on is. Like, I was in a Dolby auditorium at AMC, and I was in the front row. So everything just came off much more bigger, much more dazzling. And, you know, I got to give it props there. Like, you know, just great, especially particular sequences of note that I have to mention are the sequences on the planet's Titan, on Vormir, and then the big battle in Wakanda. Those just the special effects there, everything about it was just so great and just grand in scale, and it just came off like so awesome to look at. So definitely props in that department.
Well, I think the biggest accomplishment is Thanos himself, who looked really good. There were one or two times where I was like, that's a little shaky. But for the most part, especially on close-ups, he looked like he looked physical, like he looked like he was there, you know. And which is hard to pull off. He's big and purple and like 10 feet tall, but he still looked like he had a presence there, right? As opposed to like that stupid Steppenwolf from the Justice League movie that looked like a PlayStation 1 cutscene. You know, like the Thanos looked really solid. Like he looked like whenever I saw like, you know, Tony Stark punching him in the face, I didn't think, you know, there's Robert Downey Jr. punching air and then digital effects behind it, right? It looked like it felt real, and you know, and obviously sound effects had to do with that too. But the bringing to life of Thanos looked really good, and actually the best it's been looked so far. Because when you look at the Avengers the end credit scenes from Avengers and Age of Ultron, and the scene in Guardians of the Galaxy, he looked really, as much as I like Guardians, he looked really kind of crappy in Guardians. But in this film, he looked really good, and I think they did a really great job of, because he looks like Josh Brolin. Like, he does look like Josh Brolin, even though it's not Now, Josh Brolin apparently did do, he was in the suit with all the dots and stuff, so he did the motion capture for it. So he did do a lot of acting, physical acting for the role, and they clearly modeled the face off of him too. So it almost there were certain scenes where it almost looked like Josh Brolin in makeup, you know, even though it wasn't. There's one scene, and I'm not gonna say what scene it is and what happens in the scene, but basically there's a tear that rolls down Thanos' cheek, and you can see it go into like all the different grooves on his face, and I was like, that's really impressive. So I agree with you. The special effects were really good. Again, there were a couple moments where you're like, oh, that looks really fake, but for the most part, Thanos looked really good.
Yeah, definitely. And then the third thing. There's actually a fourth thing, but I can't talk about it now. I'll talk about it when we do spoilers. But the third thing I want to mention now in the non-spoiler is just I thought everybody brought it, man. Like Robert Downey Jr. was the one-liner factor that we know and love him as. You know, Chris Evans just embodies, you know, Captain America. You know, Chris Pratt, you know, just brightens the room as Star-Lord. You know, Benedict Cumberbatch really shined here as Doctor Strange. They really.
I thought other than Thanos, this was Doctor Strange's film. I thought he was excellent in this film.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I think he was kind of like the MVP as far as the baby phases are concerned.
Yeah, and then Tom Holland too continues to make the case for himself to be the best Spider-Man on film. You know, definitely great stuff from him too, and just everybody brought it, man. You know, and the chemistry is just there. Like you can easily tell that everyone in film was having a great time.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you there, but we'll get to it during the spoilers. I have a couple people that I don't think brought it.
Oh, okay.
And they were kind of I don't want to say sleepwalking through the role, but you know, yeah, I'll say that they were kind of sleepwalking through the role, and we'll get to it when we talked about the spoilers.
But I just feel like there was just a positive energy coming from everybody, you know, that they were happy to be there, and you know, it really kind of helps with the enjoyment of the film as well. And my one criticism, I don't know if I really want to call it criticism, but you know, because it's not really their fault. The pacing is a little off for me because you know what it is? There really is no rest period between a lot of the major sequences because the film is constantly bouncing from like one big moment to one big moment, and by the midway point, I was just already like weary. You know, I was already feeling fatigued.
There's multiple locations. And they're kind of jumping back and forth. And there is a point where they allow you to catch your breath, and we'll talk about it when we talk about spoilers, which actually included one of the biggest surprises in the film. But besides that, it was it could get kind of hectic with the pacing and the editing. It was kind of, after a while, you're right. It was like, oh my god, you know. And so, but I agree with you.
Yeah, and while that's a criticism, I can't really blame the Russos for it. You know, pacing the film of such a grand scale isn't easy, and they have to be able to get, you know, all of the characters a moment to shine. You know, so which would explain, you know, kind of the editing and the off pacing, you know, for me. So that's why I don't really want to blame them for it, but at the same time, you know, they were the directors. They were the ones that kind of did it like this.
Well, to say that is also they also had the option to write a more structured story where things are taking place in a couple of locations, you know, as it doesn't, it didn't have to be 3, 4, 5 locations, but that's what they decided to do. And I guess because everybody had to have their moment. But again, I don't get paid to make these films. They do, and all things being equal, they did a pretty good job.
Right, I agree with that as well. But I mean, overall, I love the film. Just the entire MCU just embodies everything I love about these kinds of movies. And I thought that the 10 years hype for this film was well worth it in the end. I definitely, if you haven't checked it out, go see it now. See it multiple times. I think this is a film that deserves multiple viewings in the theater. I'm definitely going to see it at least one more time in the theater before it goes away. But I definitely, like, if you've been following the MCU films for the past 10 years, Infinity War is your reward. It rewards you for your loyalty, and it's a great time. So definitely everybody check that one out. And I think with that, we're going to go into spoilers now. So I'll throw the floor to Adolfo first. I know he's dying to talk about some of this stuff. So go ahead, Adolfo.
So again, we're in spoilers. So again, I just want to say it as many times as possible before we actually go into it. This is the spoiler part of the episode. Tune out now if you have not seen the movie. Spoilers, 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 spoilers. Okay. You have no one to blame but yourself going forward. So the movie starts out basically with the end of what happened in Thor Ragnarok. Which
I love the beginning. Brother, I apologize right now. I'm gonna be marking out like a bitch, but I this beginning like really got me excited. Like, it was so dark and like it was just awesome. I love this shit, dude. Keep on going. I'm sorry, man.
It's kind of darkly funny because the very end of Thor Ragnarok is kind of this hopeful, like, okay, yes, our world was destroyed, but we are the survivors. And then no, you're all gonna die now, because at the very beginning of this film, all of them die. Now the only thing, we don't see Valkyrie in all the dead people. I don't know if she's supposed to be dead or she escaped or something, but that is one person that was like missing from the action in this opening scene.
Right.
So she was spotted on set, and she did shoot a scene, and that's all been documented. So either she got edited out, or they're gonna save it for Avengers 4, where they're gonna have a flashback of them kind of escaping, because they don't show her, they don't show the Rock character, what is it, Korg, and they also don't show. There's one more missing. And they're gone, and so I think they might show that in Avengers 4, or they just probably got edited out of the film.
I mean, that's true. They could have just been edited out of the film altogether. I hope that's not the case, because that's kind of lazy. But I find it interesting that she was not seen, and I feel like she had to have escaped somehow. But we start off with the film with the fact that Thanos has already got the Power Stone from Xandar, which is where they kept
I know.
Guardians.
I wanted John C. Reilly to get a payday, bro.
Yeah,
I know, right? And Glenn Close.
Or get Glenn Close, but that would have been cool, yeah. But I figured they were gonna do that because the material had already kind of exposed that, the trailers and that, and B, there was absolutely no hype for Xandar, so I knew that was gonna happen. I had a feeling he was already gonna have that stone.
It's kind of funny because I was watching that and I saw that he already had, the purple, the Power Stone, and I'm like, did I miss something from I didn't remember him getting it like from a previous movie. So and then I realized, oh, they just skipped over it. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and anyway. I'm fine. I'm okay with that. I didn't necessarily need to see that, but
I'm okay with that too. I have no issues. I mean, other than seeing it actually get destroyed, I'm okay with that.
And then so you basically see all the Asgardians dead, with the exception of Thor, Loki, Heimdall, and the Hulk. And then Heimdall bites it pretty quickly, but not before he sends Hulk back to Earth, which just seemed kind of like okay, we need to get the Hulk back to Earth somehow, right? So there you go.
I was kind of hoping Thanos would have punched them so hard he would have sent them back to Earth. It didn't happen like that.
But we see basically Thanos kind of with his 4 followers, and that's one of my big criticisms is his 4 followers are basically nameless henchmen. Like, they have names, but they don't they're really only there to just be like threats. They don't really have any sort of character. The only one that has any sort of character is the one called Ebony Maw. He's the one that tortures Doctor Strange and is
He was
like,
awesome.
yeah,
Though.
he's really
Yeah.
good. And I don't know who I'm not sure who the voice actor was, but he was really he sounded really menacing. And,
this guy Tom Von Lawler, not Jerry Lawler.
Yeah,
no,
I'm not sure who that
not related
is,
to Jerry Lawler,
but he
yeah.
was really good.
But also with the way the powers that they gave him, and you know, I'm a novice when it comes to, I don't follow the comics. Man, I'm surprised that guy wasn't going after the stones himself. He was pretty powerful.
Yeah, he was pretty powerful. Yeah.
During that New York scene, he was fucking up 3 guys at the same time. Like he was doing some fucking what's his name from Star Wars kind of shit, you know?
Yeah, Darth Maul.
No, fucking the one that got sliced in half. I'm trying to forget that fucking movie, bro. Okay, and Last Jedi, what was his name?
Oh, and Last Jedi. Snoke.
Yeah,
Snoke. Okay.
Because when he's gliding on that fucking taxi cab door, he's fucking up Spider-Man without even looking at him, and then he's fucking up Iron Man, and he's fucking up fucking Doctor Strange. He's battling 3 people at the same time, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he had a really good character. Like he was cool. But like he's the only one I think that's even mentioned by name. I don't think they mentioned the other 3 by name. But for those who don't know, the big, huge, hulking guy who's basically just strong. He's Black Dwarf, which is funny because he's big. Proxima Midnight is the chick, and Corvus Glaive is the goblin-looking guy. So
man, they all have some cool ass names too, and then we didn't even get to hear them.
Yeah, we didn't get to hear him, but they're all. I mean, those are his like followers. They all die throughout the course of the movie.
Now, also, the one that we liked, I forget his name. Isn't he? But okay, so from what I understand, I did some further research on this. I think he's important because I think he's the one that knows how to manipulate the Gauntlet, right? Like he was like this magician guy who like in other words, I think Thanos needed him to like allow the Gauntlet to kind of work at its full potential. You know what I'm saying? And he's dead now, and he also died pretty cool too. I mean, it was kind of anticlimactic, but he didn't even sell dying. He's still kind of being evil as he's being frozen to death. That was pretty cool.
That was wacky.
So yeah, anyway, so we get a kind of a glimpse of them. We get a glimpse of Thanos' power. He kills Heimdall, or actually, I think one of the other people kill him. And then he kills Loki. And so Loki gets kind of a bit of redemption here, because I was really kind of hoping they wouldn't make him a hero, because he did, after all, attack New York City in Avengers and like try to kill a bunch of people, right? So like he's not really a hero. They kind of started turning him babyface in Thor Ragnarok. So I was like, I really hope they don't go full like hero with him. So they didn't really do that. Like he still stole the Tesseract, which he shouldn't have done in the first place. So, which allowed Thanos to get it, but at least he tried to redeem himself at the very, very end. And I liked his last lines were really cool, where he says, "You will never be a god," before Thanos breaks his neck or whatever he does. I thought that was a really great death scene.
Well, okay, there's a lot of cool things going on here. There's a lot of like, Shakespearean things going on here that I love. First of all, that line that he tells Thanos, that was kind of that also referred to himself, because his entire arc is him trying to become a god, and he never really accomplished it. So that was pretty cool. Second of all, the only reason he had to steal the Tesseract was because he would have died in Asgard. He had to teleport himself onto that ship, and he had to do it through the Tesseract. That's why he had it with him. And third of all, if it wasn't for him being selfish in that sense, he would have never had the Asgardians all killed, because, like you said, Thanos wouldn't have found. He couldn't find he would have found the Tesseract. It probably would have got destroyed, or it would have been floating through space when Asgard got destroyed. So in essence, Loki was responsible for all those Asgardians dying. And so I think, and this is kind of subtle, I think he realizes that, because Tom Middleton's facials were incredible in this. And he had a limited screen time, but he was phenomenal, I thought. And just what he was telling us with his facials said more than anything you could have put on script, and he did have a sense of regret, but there was also that little bit of him that it almost felt like he wanted to join Thanos, but he knew that Thanos wouldn't put up with his bullshit. So there was all that going on, and that's what I read. For all I know, this is just me reading all that shit. But it was all that shit going on, and finally it's like, fuck it. And that whole knife thing, where he's trying to kill him with the knife, that was kind of his last hurrah. And you know, I thought for a character that got over so well, because he wasn't supposed to be the villain in Avengers 1, he got over in Thor, and they just had to keep him around. I thought he went out like a champ, and I thought the integrity of the character was also in place. We didn't get this wishy-washy, you know, heroic death, you know. So I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, like he got like a really cool death without him being like, I'm sacrificing myself for everyone, you know, like kind of thing, which I would have hated. So I'm glad that he went out. He sort of redeemed himself, but he's still not necessarily a hero, which I think is great. And I hope he stays dead, because like I don't want to, you know, at the end of the film we see a bunch of people quote unquote die. I hope his death doesn't get reversed. I hope he's permanent.
I think his death and Gamora's is permanent. Everybody else is probably gonna come back.
And Heimlich, you know.
And Heimdall, Heimdall, yeah.
He went out pretty cool. I thought his death was cool.
Yeah. Idris Elba getting a payday for basically laying on the floor.
and so another cool thing, again, this opening scene I was already on board, but I was marking up because I love that Mayday, like everything started. So the whole theme of this movie, again, everybody has said it's the empire of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I kind of agree with that, because it started off dark. Like, we didn't get the classic fucking wacky theme song from Marvel. We did get the opening crawl with the comic book pages flipping, but you had the Mayday distress signal from the ship, which I thought was creepy as fuck. And then it's already the movie already starts and everybody's already dead. And I like how Thor has already gotten his ass whooped. We didn't see what happened with Thor. He's just already prone on the floor, and then fucking Thanos just grabs him like a fucking doll, and he's all like, you know, that was pretty cool. I like all this shit, man.
Yeah, it established Thanos as an immediate badass right away, and that as an immediate threat.
And his henchmen, because his henchmen kind of, you know, like Ebony Maw. Yeah, I guess Ebony Maw had this speech that he would tell all these fucking planets before they would get destroyed, which is pretty alpha. It was pretty, you know, cool. And here he's saying the same spiel, you know, how they're gonna show mercy on them. He's pretty much giving them their last rites, kind of like fucking Samuel L. Jackson style in Pulp Fiction and shit. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the opening was great. Yeah, it really, like you said, Adolfo, really set up Thanos as a badass, and you know, just kind of, it was just the foreshadowing already right there of what was to come.
And also, one other thing that made me mark out is the fucking the Hulk battle with Thanos. Like, that was like hand to hand, like old school combat right there, bro. They were like boxing and shit. It wasn't like your typical throwing monsters each other around. I mean, we had some of that, but they were like throwing blows, and I really got excited for that, because that's something different, you know.
And so what I appreciate about that is that after Thanos pretty much defeats him pretty easily, after that point you don't see the Hulk again. Bruce Banner can't turn into the Hulk again, and I think it's, I mean, they kind of played off as like an erectile dysfunction kind of joke, right? But I mean it's funny, but it's also like, he got humbled, like he got humiliated. The Hulk doesn't want to come back.
You know, scared, bro. He's scared.
Yeah, he's the Hulk. That was the first time he's ever been, you know, like the Iron Sheik says, humbled, right? So he doesn't want to come back. I think that was pretty interesting. So, which hopefully pays off, at, you know, in the next part, whenever he finally just hulks out and everyone's gonna pop like crazy. And that's what's funny about this movie. Like, I'm not sure about you guys, like. In this, when you saw this with the crowd, I saw it pretty much near sold out, like on Thursday night, and the audience was there for it, man. They popped for everything. Like the biggest pop of the night was when Thor came back and entered and blasted down in Wakanda. Everyone in the audience like erupted in tears.
Oh, that got the biggest pop, yeah.
Yeah.
That and the Incredibles 2 trailer got the biggest pop in my theater.
Oh, we didn't get an Incredibles 2 trailer. I'm jealous.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I got one in mind. Yeah, but I mean, there was some other great moments here. Like, it was kind of fun. Like, you forget too that Bruce Banner hasn't been around for half of the shit that's happened in the last few films.
Yeah, they also made jokes about that. What is it? There's a Ant-Man and a Spider-Man now.
And then he goes like, "Well, we need to call Steve Rogers." And then Tony Stark gives him that look, like, "I'm not calling that guy." You know, like, you don't know what happened. You know, so, and he's like, "Yo, what do you mean you're not speaking to each other anymore?" And he's like, it's kind of neat, kind of seeing like kind of Bruce Banner kind of fall back into it, like, oh my God, what has happened since I left?
Like, you broke up like a band?
Like a band. Exactly. But probably the first, other than the opening sequence, the first other big dramatic moment was on Vormir. And by the way, seeing Red Skull again was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah,
That was a
even
huge. That was a.
even
That,
though,
sorry,
I
go
was
ahead.
even though the Alpha Hugo Weaving didn't get a payday here, he's on
That,
the outs.
yeah, I read that afterward that it wasn't him. I thought it was him when I was watching it, but it wasn't.
Nah, man, he's on the outs with Kevin Feige right now.
Well, he doesn't like. He hated being the Red Skull. Like that. Like that was one of the things. Like he hated doing that movie. He thought like I don't know if he didn't like the movie or he didn't like the makeup or whatever, but he hated doing it. So that's probably why it wasn't him. But I did kind of pop for it. I was like, that was completely unexpected. That was a really cool like cameo from everybody for people who've been watching all 19 movies all these years.
Hey, Mark watches The Walking Dead. You know who that was? That was Aaron from The Walking Dead, bro.
Yes, I found that out afterwards. Yeah, when I looked up who the actor was. Yeah,
So that was kind of wacky.
yeah, but the sequence on Vormir, and like I already said, the special effects here were awesome for this as well. Seeing Red Skull again was awesome. But then when Thanos makes the choice to throw Gamora off the cliff to get the Soul Stone, that was like everybody in the audience kind of like was shocked. Like I could feel it, even though I was in the front row. I even put this in my written review.
But
Even though I was only in the front row,
the
it's
second they got there and Red Skull said what it was, like you knew that's what it was. Like the second
Yeah.
Red Skull said you have to destroy something you love or whatever however he put it, you knew that's what they were going with. So I mean it was shock. So you got the shock before the shock actually happened. You know what I mean?
But here's something to think about, guys. That means that whomever gets it from Thanos, they got to do the same sacrifice. You understand what I'm saying? So, that's what I got out of it. So you can't just get the Soul Stone and then just keep it. I think you have to have the same sacrifice with the new owner or whomever gets it. That's what I got out of it. So we might have another tearjerker come. I'm sure we're gonna have a couple of them coming up in Avengers 4, but that might be one of them.
right. I also like the sequence on Titan that involved Doctor Strange. He's definitely one of the MVPs of this movie. And then the sequence where he's telling Tony Stark, I've seen 14 million different futures, and then he asks him, how many do we win in? One. So it's like,
and then that kind of becomes the key of the entire movie, right? That's it right there.
That's
was the
it
whole giveaway.
because everyone because I remember people like freaking out in the theater like when he finally hands over the time stone to Thanos. And like I hear people who are just like, what do you know? Like people were actually reacting in this, and then obviously Thanos takes it and he runs off, and people were getting it, and I'm like, guys, that's the one possibility out of the 14 million. How do you not get that? He spelled it out for you. Like the only thing that you can maybe say is like maybe he was kind of a dick for making Tony think that Spider-Man died for no reason, but because he was still playing it up even as he was disappearing. But I guess you could still say, well, he needs Tony to think that so that he can continue going forward.
It's that whole butterfly effect
right.
thing, right? You can't. If he tells them, then he'll know. But I have a theory, and so my theory, because again, they pretty much they weren't that subtle with this, and I'm surprised more people didn't understand this. So. In the beginning, he tells Iron Man, if it's between you and Spider-Man and the stone, I'm going to choose the stone, right? And then once he goes through all the outcomes, all of a sudden he has a change of heart and he chooses Iron Man before the stone. So obviously he needs Iron Man alive in order to see this thing through. And so I'm thinking that it's Iron Man, the one that's still going to have to sacrifice himself at the end. And then at the end, we're going to have that big scene where Doctor Strange tells them, it had to be you or whatever, the whole thing. And then that's when we're going to get that whole scene. So that's my theory going into Avengers 4. I'm not saying Iron Man has to kill Thanos. I'm saying that he's going to play a crucial role, maybe even a sacrificial role in finally killing him. And obviously it's something that's going to have to be needed because then that's why Doctor Strange needed him to be alive. So that's my theory going into Avengers 4.
which makes sense. I mean, that can definitely see that happening.
That's it.
Laid out.
That's if Thanos dies, because I have this feeling that he's not gonna die, but
Well,
they
again,
still have to win.
In the original story, he doesn't die at the end of the original Infinity Gauntlet. He gets defeated, and he basically, it's funny because he goes back to this farm at the end of this movie, because at the end of the Infinity Gauntlet story, after he's defeated, they kind of isolate him on this like random farm in the middle of nowhere. So, I mean, it could just be something like that. But I hope they don't kill him off, because that is one of the things that they have a problem with, is they kill off too many of their villains. But like, thankfully, like the only ones like Vulture is still alive out there, but like other than that, I think everyone else is dead. Like,
Zemo's still alive.
Zemo is still alive. That's true. So hopefully they do keep Thanos alive.
Yeah, well, they killed Killmonger, who got over huge.
That's
so
true.
they
Yeah,
Killmonger
that
was.
was
But you know what? That's the only one that I was like, yeah. But that death needed to happen though. Like that death was really good at the end of that film.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the big sequence on Wakanda, and then finally Thanos gets the last stone, which I believe was the I forget which stone it was, but it was the one that Vision had.
Yeah,
the Mind Stone.
And I love how he did it, because that was a throwback to the Time Stone that we all, hopefully forgot about, and he fucking just popped it out. He just went back in time and just said, fuck this shit, and he just took it.
I knew that too, and I was hoping that he would try something with the Time Stone afterwards, because after they Scarlet Witch destroyed the Mind Stone, and that was that. Like, Thanos comes, and I thought, oh God, don't make this all be for nothing. I hope Thanos figures out a way to do it. Maybe he's the Time Stone or something. Then he did it. He reversed time. He took the Mind Stone from Vision, completed his gauntlet, and then snapped the fingers, bro.
And what about the fact that Wanda fucked everything up? Because she was supposed to be guarding Vision that whole time while Shuri was taking the Mind Stone out. And instead, like, she went out and started fighting in the battle, leaving Vision vulnerable, and then like then all that shit happened. If she wouldn't have done that, she could have like been there to stop those people from interfering with like the procedure to remove the stone, and then and like destroy everything. But she fucked everything up real bad.
Yeah, well, so did fucking Peter Quill.
Quill also fucked up, but but like his is like more understandable almost. You know what I mean? But again, is it he fucked up? But in the end, did he? Because that result still needed to happen, right?
Yeah. But I love that. Let's talk a little bit about the Peter Quilson, because again, that's another throwback to how emotional he is, because it takes us back to when Ego revealed to him that he killed his mom, and he just started going off on Ego as soon as he heard that. Like, he couldn't control himself, knowing that he couldn't kill Ego with just shooting him. He just started going, and he knew that what was going to happen after that. And they kind of continued that thread this time around when it was revealed, when Thanos said that he killed Gamora, and it was like, well, fuck you. And then he started that was pretty cool too. That was, again, just continuing this continuity of character, and allowing them to act like they've been established they're going to act. None of this fucking retconning or acting different all of a sudden. So I really appreciate little details like that.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it really helped kind of build upon the previous character developments of everybody in the previous ones, which was great, because they didn't have to waste time kind of redeveloping anybody. They could just kind of go with the flow, which I don't know. Did you guys, kind of a tangent here, speaking of that, did you see that review from the New Yorker about this movie?
Yeah, it was really stupid. That was like one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Like it's because it's like, this person has clearly never seen a sequel before. They're like,
that's what it felt like.
It's
right?
like, well, you just expect the filmmakers expect the audience to know exactly who these characters are. I'm like, yeah, that's
what a dumbass.
No shit.
That's what a sequel is. Like, going into it who these characters are, you moron. It was,
and it's like that. It's like that's what they teach you in film school. When you make a sequel, you add on top of the original. You don't remake the original. So there's certain things that you've already kind of supposed to take into consideration going into the sequel. What an idiot that guy, man.
Yeah, it just read like a snobby review. Like, and look, I get it. Superhero movies are silly. I understand that, but like, judge a movie on its merits, not just because like you think they're silly and like you want to be a snob about it. It's like, that stuff always rubs me the wrong way, Like, I think I think Transformer movies are bad because they're bad, right? But if they made a good Transformers movie, I would still like give it a good review, like regardless of the fact that it's Transformers. They just haven't made a good Transformers movie, right? Like, I don't treat the material different just because of what it is. I just think it's the execution is bad. So like, I mean, clearly he like that reviewer is in the right. And I'm not saying, look, you can not like the movie and you can have problems with it, but just don't be a snob about it. That's what bothers me.
Right.
So let me talk a little bit about some of the things some of my nitpick things that why this movie didn't unseat any of the previous five. First of all, like we talked about earlier, the editing was all over the place, which I didn't like. And whether or not that was, they had to do it, whatever. I just didn't like it. They started fucking with me for a while. And I'll be honest, it felt like a 3-hour movie. And that's not a good thing, I don't think, because I think that's going to affect future viewings. Like there was a point there where I was kind of getting burned out. And that shouldn't happen. That didn't happen in Civil War, and it's almost the same length. And it didn't happen in other longer movies. Another thing, too, is that I felt like Captain America and Black Panther and Bucky, they were just such nobodies in this movie. They didn't do anything they were just there. They were just bodies. And again, we talked about why, right? Because they had to or whatever. There was no time. But I don't know. I just felt like there was just these. It could have been anybody in this movie, and it wouldn't have mattered. And speaking of, like I was talking about, kind of just sleepwalking through the role. I thought Black Panther and Captain America. I disagree with you, Mark. I think Chris Evans was just kind of there. I think he's done with the character. I think it showed, and it's no secret that he doesn't really like being Captain America anymore. And so I think it showed for him and for Chatsworth Bosworth or whatever. I think both of them kind of just walked through this role, whatever little role they had, because they didn't really do much in this movie, and that kind of bothered me because they're such big characters, and so that was one of the things that was kind of disappointing going into this film.
Yeah, I can see that. The two best Captain America moments, one was when he first appeared. The audience popped huge for when he first appeared. Yeah. It was a good entrance, right? And then the second great best moment he had was whenever with the I am Groot, I am Steve Rogers, right? That got a good laugh from the audience. But you're right, like he didn't have a lot of development in this. Like Tony had an arc in this movie, right? Whereas Steve Rogers, Captain America, didn't really. He's just there to kind of save the day and be a hero. And you kind of just bring all that you brought from the first 3 movies that he was in and the other Avengers movies and attach it to him. So you do have that kind of problem with we're bringing all that with us because it is a sequel, but
right.
But they don't do anything to further develop any of the stuff that we already have. That's the problem.
And it wasn't even that. He wasn't even being a captain, because one of the cool subtle things about Captain America is that whenever him and the Avengers are in battle, he's the leader. Forget about Iron Man. Iron Man follows Captain America's order because that's his whole gimmick. He's the captain. He's Captain America. He's a general of the entire squad, and he tells them what to do. You go up there. You set up a perimeter. You fly this. And here, it was kind of like a mixture of Black Panther was giving the orders, and he was just kind of like I don't know. It just bothered me that he was so invisible, if that's the term, in this film.
I would agree with that. And he also has he's also he's got a little bit of Superman syndrome where he's like the Boy Scout, he's just the all good, and even that didn't really shine through in this. In the first Captain America movie, when he's still skinny and he's still a punk, he's trying to stand up to that bully, and he gets his ass kicked, but he keeps getting up and he says, "I can do this all day," and he does. And then that is reflected in Civil War whenever he's fighting Iron Man, and he says the same thing: "I can do this all day." And then also in Captain America, the first Captain America, whenever he's being interviewed by that doctor guy, he's like, "You want to kill Nazis?" He's like, "No, I don't want to kill anybody. I don't like bullies. I don't care where they're from." That stuff could have been brought into this. You could have been Thanos could be the bully that he doesn't care where he's from. You just got to take him down. Or he could have been whenever there's a moment where he's one-on-one with Thanos, and where he could have just been I could do that all day. Just a callback to those movies, but they don't do that. I was so expecting him to say something like that, but or just call back to that character. But you're right. A lot of it, he's really just he's the guy with the shield and the fighting skills. He doesn't really do a lot. And same with Black Panther. There's none of the character from the movie from this past February, where he was a great character in that movie, but in this movie he's just kind of there. You're right. And again, I think a lot of that, when we go back to that, a lot of that has to do with it's just so much trying to service everybody at once. I think they were just well, we'll just put these guys in the scene, but they don't really do anything to advance them.
Yeah, the only saving grace I have for that is that I hope they got something for them in the next one. And I think for Black Panther, for sure, because they didn't know he was going to blow up how he blew up, brother. This movie was finished before. So I think they could, because they're going to have some reshoots going on very soon, if they have not already. So I think they're going to spice his role a little more, and that's fine. But for Captain America, if this is it for him, I would be very disappointed, because he's just like a nobody in this film. And even that fucking shield sucked. That shield couldn't even block a bullet, bro. It was so thin. And I was like, what happened to his old? I mean, I know what happened to his old school shield, but I mean, geez, you know. And also Bucky. I mean, Bucky, for all the hype he got, he didn't do anything either. He was just kind of a guy there with the machine gun, and he had that little comedy relief part with Rocket. But other than that, it was like, you know. And I don't want to say that the script was at fault here or that they needed to for time, because Black Widow got a lot of character moments, and it was like, I mean, you know, no disrespect to her, but if it's between her and Captain or her and Black Panther, I'm going with Black Panther and Captain America, you know, because they're more important. So I don't know. I guess it was just a decision they made. They had to, you know, some characters were gonna suffer as a result of the length. So hopefully they fix that in the next one.
Well, yeah, and if we are going to assume that the people who disappeared at the end of this film are not going to play a bigger role in Part 4 until like they get brought back to life, I'm going to assume there's going to be a more emphasis on the people that have like, you know, survived. So maybe we will get more Captain America and more Black Panther. Well, actually, Black Panther's one of the people that disappeared, right? So maybe we'll get more. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because the internet's already abuzz. So obviously, as we know, it's the original Avengers, the ones that didn't get sucked in to the or turned to dust. So that's kind of something that's interesting. And I don't know if that's only done because it is going to be their last, kind of like their big goodbye or whatever, the last hurrah. And they wanted the originals there. We don't know what happened to Hawkeye yet. We don't know what happened to Ant-Man or the Wasp. But I'm under the impression that they wanted the original Avengers to kind of ones that be the save the day, you know, and kind of bring everybody else back. That's what I think.
Yeah, I kind of feel that. I kind of feel that. And we'll get to this when we do the summer preview next episode. But at the end, maybe the post-credit scene of Ant-Man and the Wasp, one of them is disappearing. I just don't know which one yet.
No, you're right, and that's gonna give one or the other the motivation to join the fight. You're completely right about that. Yeah. I thought about the same thing.
Yeah, I thought so too. I think because when you watch the trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp, it doesn't seem like anything's wrong. It's just like they're on this little adventure, right? So that has to take place either like before this movie or like during this movie, because like you're right. I think that end credit sequence, like one of them has to disappear. Probably the Wasp, you know.
And then obviously with Hawkeye, we could deduce that his family disappears, right? And that's what brings him out of hiding.
Yeah, exactly. Because I fully expect, and I fully expected they didn't bring him into this movie because, like, I mean, they already had like so much trouble like fitting everyone in. I mean, look at freaking the Falcon had nothing really to do. War Machine had nothing really to do. They were just there as like bodies to like fight stuff, right? Like,
but they had more to do than Captain America and Black Panther. I'll tell you that right now.
You know, you know, I could see why they didn't like bring in those guys, but like, I would expect them to be in the next film.
And also something that we don't think about when they're shooting these movies is that, you know, because we see them all spaced out, right? You know, May, July, December. But these productions are going on at the same time sometimes. So you could just imagine that Paul Rudd was already on the set of Ant-Man when the Avengers was being filmed. And unless you want to kill that guy with no sleep, I mean, he wasn't going to be able to be in two places at once. Right. And I know he's in Part 4, but Part 4 started shooting in the second half of 2017. So, I mean, I'm sure his film was done. But when Part 1 was being filmed, he was filming his own movie. So you know, logistically, it was probably impossible for him to be in this movie anyway, you know?
Yeah, and not just that. I mean, logistically, it's probably really difficult to get all these people together for a movie in general, right? Because it's just Because I mean, they've gotten to the point where there are just so many people in these movies now that getting them all together is going to be really freaking difficult from now on. And a lot of them have become huge stars, you know. So it'll just be interesting how they go forward. But yeah, those are really valid criticisms. I thought the same thing when I was watching the movie, like that they. As much as, you know, Captain America looked cool fighting big monsters and stuff, but like again, he didn't really. There was nothing to his character at this point, and which is kind of disappointing because he has been one of the better characters in the series, especially in Civil War, and then now he just kind of reduced to just another guy fighting stuff.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of being a main event guy and being in the WrestleMania Battle Royal, bro. That's what I felt like. He's just a guy in the crowd.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if you guys will agree with me. This might be just personal opinion here, but I felt that Peter Quill or you know, the character, you could tell that he really needed James Gunn to write his dialogue, because I could see a difference between somebody else. Although James Gunn did say that he kind of wrote some scenes, but I don't know. I think there was a difference between him writing them and the two guys that wrote this film. I just thought something was off there a little bit with his dialogue. He wasn't as quirky as he should have been, and he was the punchline to a lot of jokes, which I thought was surprising because you kind of want to keep that guy, his cool factor kind of suffered a little bit when he had to play second fiddle to Thor and getting ragged on the entire movie. But that was just shit that I noticed. It had nothing to do with anything, So that's another thing that I noticed about the film.
Well, a couple things. Adolfo, did you want to say something though?
No, go ahead.
I was going to do a couple things. First, I kind of see your point as far as Captain America, Black Panther. I think when I see it the second time, that'll become a little more fleshed out to me. But upon this initial view, I didn't really sense that. Although I can definitely see where you guys are coming from. So I think maybe I'm going to kind of catch that more when I see it again. The other thing is, I do want to talk about one of the good things about the movie that I couldn't talk about before, and we kind of already started touching upon it was the ending. I could feel the energy in the theater as it was happening. As Bucky, I think it was the first one to disappear. Then Black Panther. Then everybody else. Spider-Man was probably the one that hit everybody the worst.
Oh yeah, there was rumblings in the room when Spider-Man disappeared. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah. And because he was the only. Here's the thing about Spider-Man, and I read this theory online, and it makes absolute sense. Is that whenever everyone else is disappearing, they're kind of just like, what is happening? And then they disappear. Spider-Man's the only one that has a physical reaction to it, and he's starting to have a panic attack. And that's because he has a spider sense, and the spider sense is telling him he's fucking dying. So he's the only one that knows that he's dying, and he's freaking the fuck out. And I thought that was that's really subtle and clever.
I love that. Yeah, you're right. I love that scene.
But it's like, you see all these characters, and ones that, people have been getting to know the past few years, just kind of going up, disappearing. We all think they're dead right now. And it's like, that just kind of goes to, I guess, to the strength of the writing, to the buildup of this entire franchise, that, people having legit emotional reactions to like someone like Spider-Man, Black Panther seemingly dying.
I think Black Panther and Spider-Ones were the ones that hit the hardest because Black Panther had the reaction from what's her name? She was really freaked out over it because her king just fucking disappeared in front of her, and then obviously Spider-Man and his whole, and Tom Holland did a great job in that scene as well, but I also thought it got a little hammy there towards the end because it just kept on going and going, and then once you start putting this is what happened. I think what happened is that scene allowed the audience to put two and two together and just say, wait a minute, they got sequels planned. There's no way these guys are dying.
Yeah.
So it went from having this emotional impact, and then you could feel in the theater it started going less and less and less as it kept happening. And I'm like, fuck, they should have stopped it at a certain number because they kind of lost the audience a little bit here just because it kept on going and going and going, and it just got ridiculous after a while. The point being that obviously Thanos did, in fact, delete half of the universe.
Deleted.
But, yeah, I don't know where Matt Hardy probably turned to dust too, bro. You can't turn to dust. So that was another thing that I took out of it. Is like, it was cool in the beginning, but then after a while I was like, okay, they're all coming back because they got sequels planned with all these characters. So that was pretty much what I thought going into it.
That was probably where the marketing failed because they like to announce, a new Guardians is coming. But maybe they should have held off until after, the fourth Avengers
and that's
movie.
the thing is that one of the things that right before this movie came out, like a month ago or something, Kevin Feige was like, people kept asking him, like, well, why aren't you announcing Phase 4 movies yet? Because by now, Phase 4 movies would have already been announced. I mean, they announced Civil War like 2 years before it ever came out, right? But and like he said, well, there's spoilers to Avengers Infinity War if we keep going. And that's probably because they already announced Guardians. They already announced Spider-Man. They haven't officially announced Black Panther. Like, everyone assumes it's going to happen because it made $1 billion, right? But they haven't officially announced it yet. So, him going, if they say, yeah, we're planning sequels to these guys, then it would kind of lessen the impact of those death scenes at the end, right? So I kind of get why they haven't done that. I would say though, if you are like a hardcore geek, or either with the comics or a geek about movies, like you said, that there's going to be another Spider-Man movie, there's going to be another Black Panther movie, and we know this, and we know there's going to be another Guardians movie, but you got to also kind of keep in mind that we do kind of live in a bit of a bubble, and there are people out there that just oh, there's a new Avengers movie, I'm gonna go see that, right? And they don't really follow like
Right.
when the next one's coming out. So there is still like some legitimate shock out there from like the quote unquote mainstream that like, wait, Spider-Man died? How did they kill Spider-Man? You know what I mean? So there is still some shock out there, and they're not gonna go like on message boards and Reddit and on Facebook groups to like find out what's gonna happen. They're just like, oh shit, I'm just gonna have to wait till the next one. You know what I mean? So like you gotta. So I see what you're saying. It does lessen the impact for people like us, but for like a lot of people are like they're. You know, there's still people that still walk out before the credits are over, and like by now, a lot of people know not to do that. But there's still people that do that. Right?
Nobody did at my screen.
So
nobody got up.
there are still people out there that are going to be shocked by that stuff because they don't live in like the bubble that we do.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Now let's talk a little bit about the collector scene, because that one left me a little bit confused. So what happened with the collector? Because I'm under the impression that that wasn't really him. That was the reality stone fucking with them.
Correct.
So is the collector dead, or was he? Because obviously he made the deal. Well, he didn't make it. He probably just took it from him. But we don't know what happened to the collector. We don't know if he killed him or if he, you know, punked them out and just took the stone. Because that was a fake collector the whole time. And so that's one of the things that I was like, wait a minute, is that it was just weird. That whole scene was kind of weird to me. It took me a while to kind of understand what was going on.
I think he is dead because when he shows what reality is, everything's on fire and burning down, right?
Yeah,
so like
that's what I figured.
So I think he came in and just destroyed everything, including the collector.
Or maybe he wasn't there because they don't show Benicio dead. They just show him waving.
That's true.
So are you telling me that Thanos has a big enough sense of humor to have the fake collector waving as he's disappearing, bro, in the cage?
Oh, pretty much. Well, I think if everything's destroyed, then there goes Howard the Duck too. So
well, no, because he's also going to get his own movie soon as well. and that's a shoot, brother. That's a rumor.
Oh wow. But the other thing I wanted to bring up real quick too, because I couldn't bring it up before, it was with Thanos. Like how I loved how great the character was written, how it really gave him depth, and I think all of that was encapsulated on that final shot of him in the hut, kind of looking at the sunset. Like, you know, this is a guy who got what he wanted. His journey's complete. He got all the stones, and he didn't look like a winner. You know,
that's right.
Kind of just sat there, looked at the sunset, almost like, yeah, he won, but
what did he win?
What did he win? Exactly. And that was just a perfect parting shot for him for this movie. You know, but before we get to Avengers 4, it was just, you know, he won, but it was kind of awe-inducing for me personally to see, okay, he won, but what did it take for him to get there? And then seeing kind of reflecting on that as he's watching the sunset is like, that's deep, man. That's pretty awesome. And I just love how Thanos is written here. Just amazing.
And he was also kind of beat up. He was tired. Like when he's walking to where he's gonna sit down, he's kind of limping. They took it to him, bro, and he was kind of tired. So, and also I guess his hand kind of getting fucked up a little bit because that gauntlet was destroyed. Also kind of affected him. And, you know, I kind of smell a little bit of a babyface turn here. I'm not gonna lie here. It seems like there's still some sort of redemption thing going on here. And so we'll see what happens.
But isn't that, well, not to get into too much, but isn't that what happens in the original Gauntlet story, Adolfo? Like he kind of does turn baby, doesn't he?
No, he doesn't turn babyface really in the original story. He basically, it's been a while since I read it, but I think in the original story, Nebula gets the Gauntlet.
Yes.
And then he has to stop her, and then he joins forces with everyone else to stop her, but it's more out of self-preservation than it is about redemption.
Right.
And I don't think Nebula has been built enough to do that in the movie, although they could do it. Who knows? But I don't think she's been built enough to do that. But so I think there's going to have another narrative other than the comics. But who knows? They might go with this.
They might. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they have kind of split a lot off of the comic, and a lot of, I mean, what we've seen with a lot of this stuff is that they use like the original comics as like a jumping off point to tell their own story. So like, I don't necessarily expect it to follow it verbatim.
Right. So I think with that we have one more thing to talk about.
Let me say one thing that also popped me. I love the whatever you call it, the motion capture or whatever. When Thanos tries to squash Captain America and Captain America kind of holds his own, like Thanos kind of marks out for him a little bit, bro. You can't believe that shit. He's like, what the fuck? as he's trying to squash him. Like, look, when you see that movie, look at his face. He's
yeah,
like,
it's
oh,
really,
shit.
it's really good. It's really
yeah,
good.
I love that. I pop for that shit because Captain America's holding it. So think about it like this: Thanos is seeing a human being, bro, a mere mortal, and he's about to fucking he's gonna do the axe bomber that Hulk Hogan used to do in the '80s, bro, in Japan. He's about to fucking finish him off with that, and then this fucking guy grabs his gauntlet and he just holds it, and then this guy's like, what the fuck? And you can see like a little bit of a smile dash surprise in fucking Thanos' face right there. I love that shit.
Yeah, and that would have been a good character moment for Captain America if they would have done anything with them.
Yeah, no, that was cool right there. I fucking
really
love
cool
that
moment.
shit.
It was really
but then he
cool.
just punched him and knocked him out. So
He had a similar moment, if you remember, with Iron Man, where
that's
he gave
right,
him
yeah, where he almost
respect.
picked
Remember?
up the hammer, and Iron Man's like, Thor. Remember, he almost picked up the hammer.
Right.
And Thor's like, oh shit, and then he just plays it off like, see, he just laughs and shit. I like the little fucking shot right there too.
Right. Yeah, they have great moments.
Oh yeah, Captain America's strong, bro. It goes without saying, but Jesus.
Yeah. But I also,
so let me go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, okay. So what about okay? So did you guys get worked with the Iron Man getting stabbed?
I did. I did because I was like, oh, there it is. Because people have been like, there have been so many like rumors like, oh, Captain America's gonna die, Iron Man's gonna die, like there's gonna be people dying in this movie. When he got stabbed, I was like, oh shit, there it is. But then they did a wide shot, and I was like, oh no, it's not like in a vital area, so he's probably fine. But
they left that. I would have got, but they had that Pepper Potts thing in the beginning, and it's not good writing if you kind of leave that loose thread, So that's what I kept on going back to. But no, I thought that fight was incredible. If ever I'm gonna. The movie left the lasting impression with me is that fight with Iron Man, because they teased him dying so much in that 30-40 second fight, because his suit kept on coming off, and then he would find another part of the suit to block him, and some of the suit would rebuild on the spot, and then it would fly off, and then when they exposed his face, then you're thinking, holy shit, this is a mere mortal on Titan about to get killed by this fucking demigod, And so it was cool, bro. I love how they teased that shit, and that's the very definition of fucking with your heart right there, bro. I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah, they really did. And then, but like, because there was an audible gasp whenever he got stabbed. Everyone in the audience was like, so it did really work. Yeah, and what I also liked about that, much like with the Captain America scene, after that whole fight, he does kind of give that little speech, is like, I hope they remember you, like, because like he earned his respect after that, like he came close to defeating him and he didn't. And he's like, I hope they remember you. I thought that was a cool moment.
I want to talk about another great fucking moment, and this is like deep, like this is like, and I'm gonna talk about the Thor scene with Rocket, when Thor, you have a guy that has post-traumatic stress disorder, and this is a psychologist in me talking, right? And he's talking. This is a great fucking scene, very emotional scene, where he's telling a Rocket about how he's 1,500 years old, and this is just another guy. This is just another monster that he has to beat, and he's telling him this, but he's crying while he's doing it because he doesn't believe what he's saying, and you got to think about Thor, along with both Thor and Thanos. They have fought everybody in the galaxy, right? I mean, they fought monsters, creatures, everything, you name it. And so Thor, for the very first time, is also scared, much like the Hulk. And he's telling him this, and he's pumping himself up verbally, but he's also very sad, and because he just realized that Asgard is gone, his dad is gone, his brother's gone, his sister's even gone, and he's alone. And the juxtaposition of that entire conversation is with Rocket, who grew up alone, who doesn't have anybody, and for the first time in his life, he's got a family in the Guardians. So I thought that was fucking incredible, and that was like a great fucking scene that Chris Hemsworth had a lot there. He had a lot to work with there from a storyline point of view, and that was one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie.
Yeah, that was
speaking of that real quick. Yeah, speaking of that real quick, we didn't even mention this. Being able to see Peter Dinklage be taller than everybody for the first time ever. That was kind of cool. I like that they went that way with him too, But anyway, does anybody have anything else to talk about? Because I do want to talk about one more thing, and that's the elephant in the room, the post-credit scene.
Well, yeah, I do want to go back to the Rocket and Thor thing. that I think has was great development for Thor, character development, and I do love the pairing with Rocket. Not only because comedically it worked really well. I like the fact that Thor, out of all the Guardians, that's the one he bonded with was a little raccoon, and but also
the rabbit, as
the
he
rabbit,
called him.
yeah. I thought they had really good on-screen chemistry, even though one is a digital creature. But whatever, they still had good on-screen chemistry. But Draven's right. Rocket is someone who doesn't have anybody except the Guardians, and now he's the only Guardian left. All the Guardians are gone now. So I thought that was a really poignant moment at the end. And it's kind of funny now because now you have Rocket on Earth with Captain America and War Machine and all these normal heroes. How are they going to just hang out with this freaking raccoon? That's going to be kind of amusing in part 4. But yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I think
hey, Draven, your audio's cutting out. You're coming out really low, man.
How can you hear me?
Very faintly, it's like a whisper in a way.
All right, now can you hear me?
Yes.
There you go, much better.
Okay, no, I was gonna say they do have that great line where it's Thor's I ain't got nothing left to lose anymore, and then you just hear just a throwaway line before they cut to the next scene. Rocket goes, "I do." That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right before they cut to the next scene, you just hear Rocket say, "I do." And that told you right there that he has a family now.
Yep, that's right. Just
so
more development for him.
Yeah. So what are you gonna say about the post credit scene?
So let's talk about the post credits. So it's only one scene we get this, and we don't get a mid credits. We actually get just one post credit scene, and we see Samuel L. Jackson back. That popped me. I don't think we've seen him since Winter Soldier. Is that correct?
No, we
That's
saw
right.
him in Ultron.
In Ultron, okay.
Ultron, he took off, and he had. I think the real reason was that he had beef with them for a while, right? There was some sort of financial situation, and they just stopped booking him. But they brought him back for this, and he's gonna get a big payday for Captain Marvel because he's a big part of that movie.
Yes, that's right. So we see Nick Fury and Maria Hill driving, and then all of a sudden, it happens when Thanos snaps his fingers and everybody starts disappearing. They get caught up in that too, cars start crashing, everything just starts going to hell, and Maria Hill disappears. Samuel L. Jackson, he pulls out a beeper, which is kind of weird. I saw that, is that a beeper, or is that something else?
Bro. It's a beeper, bro. It's a tribute to the '90s.
Fucking beeper, bro. So he pulls out a beeper and he activates it just as Nick Fury disappears, and he's about to curse up a storm. I don't know if you caught that. He's gonna say mother or something, and then he's gone. Then he drops the beeper, and then all of a sudden you get a symbol, and we find out, or I'm sure everybody who's into comic books knows that's the symbol for Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel. So she's gonna be the key to all this, apparently, to stopping Thanos. So we'll see how that happens next year. But what did you guys think of that?
I mean, that
was cool.
It was cool. I mean, Marvel is very good at foreshadowing their movies. Their next, dropping little hints and being like, "Whoa, what's this?" Unlike, I know I always bring this up, but it's just so stupid. Unlike in Batman v Superman, where they have Wonder Woman watch YouTube videos for 5 minutes, they are very good at dropping little hints, at the end credits, and they're like, "Hey, here's a little taste," and then we're gonna take it away. So it gets you just enough hype, but doesn't give away too much information. And what is interesting is Captain Marvel is supposed to take place in the '90s, and she's gonna be, I think she's gonna be fighting on Xandar or something, because they're bringing Ronan back. I know Agent Coulson's coming back, and Nick Fury as well. So I'm curious as to how they're gonna do it. And why, and what the explanation is going to be as to why she hasn't been around the last 20 years, because you think about it, if he has this why is it now in this particular crisis that he's calling for Captain Marvel, and he didn't call for her whenever Loki attacked New York, he didn't call for her when Ultron was attacking the world, but he called her in this specific moment when people started disappearing. I hope they answer that, why now does he pick this moment to call her?
Right now, because they didn't think about Captain Marvel back in 2012.
No, I know that. I know that.
But it's kayfabe, bro.
They're gonna have to bullshit their way out of this one. I know what you're saying. So we'll see what they come up with. Hopefully, it's clever. Maybe they'll freeze her or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I can see them doing something like that. Like, she's been frozen or something.
when in doubt, just freeze them, bro. That's always the way out of everything.
Well, yeah, I'm sure she's in some sort of like state like that doesn't bother me. Her not being around doesn't bother me because I'm sure there's some sort of like you're right, like she's frozen or whatever the hell, right? I'm sure there's some reason why she hasn't been around. My question is, why hasn't he called her before this? That's what I really want to know.
You know what's kind of clever, to talk a little bit about the last 18 movies, because I watched them again. I binged them all like within the last month, like literally all of them. And there's so many things that become kind of evident and pretty goddamn genius on Kevin Feige's part. Like whenever there's a standalone film, you never have the chance to say, oh, well, why didn't they call the other guys? Because they always take place in a couple days at most. Like if you notice that, there's never... all the individual films never have this long-lasting situation where it even gives you a chance to call for help, because like for example, like the big one that everybody criticizes is the Winter Soldier, right? But the Winter Soldier, specifically from the point of view of Captain America, all this shit happens so fast with the Shield being infiltrated and the betrayal and all that he had no time to call Iron Man, or he had no time to call anybody, because he was, Nick Fury gets betrayed in the classic scene in the freeway with the Winter Soldier, and then all of a sudden Captain America's on the run. So now you're wondering, well, he has no time to call anybody, right? And the same thing with Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is just a battle between Iron Man and Guy Pearce, and it's only a couple days. So I think it's very clever how they make these films to where you're not exposed to that criticism. It's only when they have these big battles that take place over a week or so that you know that, okay, well, they could have called for help. That still doesn't cover the plot hole of Captain Marvel, because like you said, she should have been involved, but it's interesting how they cover their ass with the other films.
Yeah, and I'll give them credit to like they've built up enough goodwill, or to use your term, they've built up enough equity that like I'll give them credit to like think of something for the next movie. But it is just this question that's kind of lingering, like why haven't they called her before?
Right. So that's all I wanted to talk about as far as Avengers 3. Just a great movie. Everybody should go out there and see it.
Most definitely. Like we already said, it lives up to the hype in spades. So if anybody has any reservations at all about seeing it, just go see it. You're going to have a great time.
So when do you guys think the first teaser drops?
Well, the next one's supposed to come, I think, around this time next year. And then in between that, we get Ant-Man and the Wasp in July. And when is Captain Marvel?
I think February.
I think it's February.
Hold on, I'm looking it up right now. Give me a second. Stand by.
Yeah, sure.
Because it seems like they have a slot for February, November, and the summertime. That's kind of seems to be where they release these movies.
Ant-Man and the Wasp is July 6th. Captain Marvel is March 8th. And Avengers is May 3rd.
Okay.
Oh,
back
okay.
to back. Wow.
Yeah. So about the same time frame. So you'll get Captain Marvel in March and Avengers in May. So I will bet. So we got the first trailer for this, I think in like November or something, didn't we? Something like that. So
yeah,
that's probably when we'll get it. It's probably November.
Yeah, November, and then the Super Bowl had the second trailer, and I think they only released, other than the TV spots, they only released 2 actual trailers for the movie.
Yeah, I think you're right. I expect there to be something at the end of Ant-Man and Wasp at the end credits, and obviously Captain Marvel is definitely going to tie into everything. But yeah, I think the first thing where we get with like actual footage will probably be like October, November.
Yeah, so by there ain't gonna be no Adam Warlock unless he's inside the Soul Stone hanging out.
That's true.
So that's one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, because they can't. I mean, I obviously, you think that all these guys that vanished are gonna be gone for like half of the movie in the next one, but I just can't see that. So I've been hearing scuttlebutt on the internet about them possibly being inside the Soul Stone, where we saw Thanos and the baby Gamora kind of hanging out. So there might be like a dual, like a alternative reality storyline going on in Part 4, as the battle's going on here in on Earth with the original Avengers. So we might be seeing that in order to give everybody a chance to be in the movie, with the equal length of time. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean that could be it.
That could be it. I don't know exactly what they're doing. The soul. I mean, when you have stuff like the Infinity Stones, you can make up whatever bullshit you want, right? So, like, I mean, it's true. I mean, that's how they work, right? So, like,
but there is a world inside the Soul Stone, right? That's legit. There is like an actual world inside the Soul Stone. Like there's like a world in there somewhere. That's what I read anyway. You know, I could be wrong.
You know what? I don't know. I can't for sure say.
Because I think that's where Adam Warlock resides. That's where he hangs out at. So
yeah,
you know.
is that how it works? I know he's the like in the comics, like after the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, they broke up the Gauntlet and then they gave the stones like one each. Like one person got a stone to like keep, and Adam Warlock kept the Soul Stone, and Gamora kept one of them. I forget which one it was. I think it was. Fuck, I don't remember which one she got, but it doesn't matter. But Adam Warlock definitely got the Soul Stone. You're right. Maybe he did like go into it somehow. You're right. It is all funky and weird when it gets into that shit, and that's where it kind of loses me a little bit. But I mean, they could absolutely do that and go like really sci-fi with it and say that they're all kind of in the Soul Stone. I mean, and that's the other thing is I heard, not heard, but I people speculating, fan speculate. You know how fan speculation always goes, but a lot of people are thinking, well, maybe Gamora is not dead, and that'll be like the plot of Guardians 3 is like getting her soul back or something like that, which I could see them doing too.
Well, eventually this bubble's going to burst, and it's going to get wacky like that eventually. That's the route we're going. And once it starts going like that, I don't know what I'm going to think about these movies, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, we're going to say that at least the first 10 years were good.
Yeah. But there were a lot, but other than Doctor Strange, all these films were kind of based on reality, if you think about it. Even like the space movies, they had their own rules, but they all kind of were structured for reality, Once you start getting wacky like that, I don't know if that might lose me. I just don't know if I could handle that shit.
We might start treating the MCU like The Simpsons. Hey, at least the first 10 seasons were good. After that, who knows? But anyway, I guess with that, we're going to wrap up Force Perspective episode 110. Any questions, comments, feedback, send an email to fpmpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at SportsGuy515. My Twitter's been blowing up lately with different things. Now it's Sasha Banks replying to something I posted. So it's getting wacky up there. So
good, bro. That's good. You made contact.
I made contact. That's right. I'll tell that story a little bit. Adolfo, your plugs, por favor.
Essentialfilmspodcast.com. That's where I post all different reviews as for classic films as well as different podcasts and YouTube videos. Our latest episode of the Essential Films we talked about Superman, the 1978 Superman Richard Donner film. Our next episode is going to be The Empire Strikes Back. We're going to be recording that within the next 24 hours, I think. So I hope to drop that by May 4th for May the 4th be with you, but we'll see. That it's going to be tight to get it in by then. But that's my plan right now. Twitter at Essential Films and at Adolfo_Acosta.
Right, and Draven, do you have any plugs for us today?
Yeah, I have a new podcast. It's different than K Fabulous. It's called Draven's Drive-In, and it deals with so I decided to do this project where I wanted to tackle the real history of professional wrestling. So it's going to be more of a historical overview of all the pretty much all of wrestling. So it's going to take me a couple of years to finish it, and we're going to go through eras. And so this is a very, 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 very well researched project. I mean, I'm calling people historians. I'm reading through newsletters. I want to avoid because wrestling itself tends to be the hyperbole around wrestling. It's out of this world just because that's the business that it is, and it attracts that kind of larger than life, mythology. And sometimes we confuse that with the real history of what was going on. So I decided to do a real historical analysis and just overview of wrestling. So I just did part one, which is the beginning of mankind all the way up to 1900. And then part two is going to deal with 1900 up to 1930. And then we're going to go from there and so on and so forth. So again, this is going to be probably about a 2-year project. And so we're going to take it from there. It's going to be on fightgameblog.com.
GG.
My good friend Double G runs that spot. And as far as Fabulous Lucha Brothers, we are gonna come back. We were gonna come back for the Greatest Royal Rumble, but that show sucks so bad.
You mean the shittiest Royal Rumble?
Yeah, I was gonna say that show sucks so bad. Me and him talking, we're like, fuck that shit. We ain't coming back to cover this shitty show, so we decided to postpone it for a better time. And so that show, it's gonna come back periodically, and you know, the weekly thing is pretty much dead for now because I'm back in school and he's busy and it's kind of hard. But we are gonna come back for specials here and there, and so that's the plan there. But for now, I'm gonna do Draven's Drive-In and look for it. The first episode should have dropped by now. It drops this Monday, so it should already be out there. And that's at fightgameblog.com.
Now wait. You're really calling it Draven's Drive-In, or are you working?
No, yes, I am, and I'll tell you why, bro. Because I couldn't think of any other names.
I thought that you were working me with the title.
No. I just couldn't think of any other name. And since I already had that's the name of the podcast that I do, kind of like my miscellaneous topics. I was like, fuck it, I'll just call it that. You know, gives a shit. So
okay.
I was thinking about calling it like because originally it was gonna be up the history of the territories, right? Because I was gonna go through one territory a show, but then I was like, that kind of limits me. So I decided just to go and just do the history of professional wrestling from the very beginning.
Yeah, which is a great topic, and I'm definitely looking forward to checking that out, man.
And of course, the reason I say the part one deals from the beginning of mankind all the way to 1900s because wrestling, combat sports have been around since the beginning of time. So I kind of go through that in the beginning and kind of go through all the little stages that kind of brought wrestling to the forefront. And right now we're dealing with the very, 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 very early stages of the business. And so in the next episode, I'm going to get into like the carnival terms that became so famous that we use to this day, you know, like heel and kayfabe and babyface and, you know, all that shit. So that's going to be interesting where that came from. And so, yeah, so that's what I plan to do for the next couple of years, just to keep me talking about wrestling and not necessarily modern wrestling.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, going back real quick to the shittiest Royal Rumble, I mean, it was all worth it to see Titus take that wacky bump, bro.
Oh, like man, that's his career.
That made his career, man. I said to myself, is he going to get pushed from this or is he going to get buried even further? We'll find out.
Get buried as guys of being pushed. Let's be real. So,
yeah.
It has to be like, I'm going to bury you, but you're getting TV time, so you're going to win in the end. That's pretty much the speech
there you go. Because as we all know, TV time is money. So,
yeah, there you go.
There you go. So I guess, does anybody else have anything else to say before we get out of here?
That's it.
All right, guys. So on behalf of Adolfo, on behalf of Draven, I'm Sports Guy 515. Thank you again for joining us. Go see Infinity War. And until next time, we are out of here.